Right, welcome everyone. So today's educational stream is going to be a little bit different to what we usually doing on these streams. It's not going to be necessarily so much like here's a concept, here's how to do it, here's how to spot it, that kind of thing. It's going to be more around refining your own strategies and building your own models, and how to test those models. So, what is the point of using a model, really? Well, the point is like ideally we want a system that removes us, the emotional sack of meat behind the screen. Like we want to remove that away from trading as much as we can, but it isn't actually all that possible. So what we also need to factor in is, although these are like super mechanical rules, and that's why a lot of people are attracted to my style, it's if then when kind of thing, but there has to still be this element of intuition and sort of discretion. And the only way to get that is through just repetition and just through pure experience, screen time, whatever you want to call it. That is really a fundamental aspect, because if you think about it, like, how do you get good at anything? It's by doing the thing, okay? And if we want to be good traders, we need to go and trade, and we need to go and utilize these things in a live market, okay? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about models specifically, and then I'm going to be going through like how I build a model. And what I've done is I've created something called the model factory. So I'll just get that up now. So here you've got the model factory. So in here you've got a template, so model builder template. Click in there. So here, this is how I personally see a model and how you create one. So the theory is written explanation of the model. Think in an if statement, okay? So we are sticking to those mechanical rules. We want to, if price hits X at X time, then trade X when X happens and target X. You know what I mean? It's like we need to fill in those gaps, okay? So once we have the theory, we then need to go into the back testing, which is what we'll cover today, right? So you're gonna have the charts, you can have the stats, you can have some notes, all those paper trades, all those statistics. Then you're gonna be looking at that data, and you're gonna be like, right, what's the findings? What are these significant notes? What adjustments do I need to make? What did you learn from the back testing process? How can you refine your edge? Then it becomes about forward testing, the live price action, and that is where the true edge is refined, because you need to experience this in a live market. Okay, you can be the best backtester in the world, but your self-control may suck, and you may get into a New York session and see some scary candles and absolutely shit your pants. So you need to go in there, and you need to know what you're looking for, and you need to have the ability to actually sit down, tick off your checklist, and hit that checklist. Okay, so today's all about that. So what I want to do in this model builder is I want you to try and condense your checklist. I don't want you to have like 20,000 different fucking things about must see this, then that, and if this and that, and then you're overcomplicating it, because it's going to be too stimulating, it's going to be overbearing in the moment. So ideally what I want you to do is try and condense it into a 5-point checklist. Ideally 5, because we can call it a 5-star setup. You know what I mean? So like if we've got all 5 points hit, then we've got a 5-star setup. That's our model, and we can utilize those points to help us adjust risk accordingly. Okay, so that's what I've done there. I've included a couple of models that you should already be familiar with. First of is the 5-minute bias. So I've taught this countless times in streams. Everybody here probably knows what it is, but if you don't know what it is, if the opening 5-minute candle, so that's of London and New York, so for example, if the opening 5-minute candle is bullish, then target the wick high of that 5-minute candle. Okay, so that is our draw on price. That's our target. That's where we expect price to go. Okay, and the statistics and the probabilities back us up. It's like 90+%. Okay, so what we're going to look for, so we know where we want to go. What do we need to look for, and how we're going to get there? We're going to look for a low time frame inversion aligned with price action to the target. Okay, so if we're targeting a wick high, what we want to see is a bullish inversion. Okay, we want to see bullish gaps holding, we want to see bearish gaps failing, and we want to get in on that move, and we want to target that wick. Okay, we're playing the probabilities. Okay, so I've done some backtesting on that in the past. I have got the stats around somewhere, but just double check it's a TradeFi. Sorry, I was going to update this all, but Spitty had me chatting absolute crap for the last hour. Only messing. We had a good chat. Right, so you've got here, there's your stats. So, let me just grab those. So, right now you've got 85.5% in the first 2 hours for London, 5-minute bias, and for New York, you've got a 5-minute opening bias of 93.3%. So within the first 2 hours of that session, you've got an overwhelmingly high probability that that target is going to be hit. Okay, so once we found that data, then it was just a case of, right, how do we build a model around this? Okay, so what are some of the significant findings? What are the things we've done from backtesting? Well, utilizing SMTs and price action principles will help inform me of when price is headed for the target. Okay, so my price action module that I called order flow, but I've changed the name to price action for Spitty's benefit, is you need to be able to read price action. Okay, so understanding bullish gaps holding, bearish gaps holding, failing, are we in a bullish state? Are we in a bearish state? Being able to read the price action is going to allow you to get in on the move towards the target. Okay. So rules of engagement. This is just something I've noticed from finance. 2 trade attempts, then stop. Okay. Just because it's a high hit rate level historically doesn't mean it has to hit. Okay. In the last week or so, while we had this crazy volatility with news, Trump, and things like that, there was like 3 days in a row where London didn't take this high hit rate, and that's probably one of the reasons why it's actually dunked down to 85%. But yeah, just because a level is high probability doesn't mean it has to go there. Okay, there's so many instances where the market is just simply in a lower probability environment. So just remember this: the probabilities are in my favor, but the outcome is out of my control. So what you need to be able to do is have the discipline to execute your model that you know will work more than it will fail. Okay, and when it fails, don't go blowing all of your progress from the last couple of weeks because you refuse to lose. Okay, I talk about this a lot, but you need to make sure that you are sticking to your model and you are sticking with it even through the down days, because no model is perfect, no system is perfect, no trading or trader is perfect. Okay, so there's always going to be failures. So the final checklist of this rule is wait for the opening 5-minute bias, get your inversion or CISD, premium, discount, internal/external. So this is something I added where we're going to look for, say for instance, we were looking for the bullish high of the candle, the opening candle. If we can pull back into a into a discount, we're longing from value at that point. Okay, and ideally, if we're maybe sweeping some lows or we're going from another gap, that's just another factor there. Another factor is pro midnight, or as I call pro midnight. That just means you are headed toward midnight. You're not headed away from midnight. So if you were looking for shorts, you'd want midnight below you. If you were looking for longs, you'd want midnight above you. Okay. And then the final tick in the box to get that 5-star setup is an SMT. Okay. So I've done some back testing, of course. I've done plenty of forward testing on this. If you just go into the TradeFi channel, you'll see a million examples of this being forward tested because people trade it very regularly. It's basically our bread and butter, this. So I haven't included that in there, but I will add some more content to this. I've been really busy this week, so I will add into that. In this guide section, I will add this video where I explain more about this actual tracker. But also in here, what you've got is the trading journal, which I also gave out a few weeks ago. So in that trading journal, you can track more of like your weekly, your monthly basis, your more of your psychology side. It was very, very focused on like you as a trader and your psychology as a trader, which I think is so important to recognize in order for you to perform. But in order for you to get that finishing touch on your edge, this is the kind of thing we need to start doing. So What I've also done here is I've included the 4-hour strategy, which is something we're going to look at a little bit more in depth as well. You saw that in my last video, which was time. That was 2 weeks ago. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. So in here, you've got table, and this is where we input our trades. So on each time you take a trade with a specific model, or what I want you to do is go into here and create one. So you can see, for instance, this short we had here. Open that up. You can see that we've got the 4-hour model. So you'd input your models here, you create your models over here, and then you just create a new option here. So let's say you just came up with a new model, so like naked gap model or something like that. You just enter a new one like that, and then that would be your model in there. Okay, so just populating this day a week, London session, what was the environment? I think this is a really important factor. Like, was the major news, so that's like your FOMCs, your CPIs, PPIs, NFPs, or was there no news at all, or was there just a normal red folder news, that kind of thing. And then you've got your time window, important factor, especially when you start incorporating time into your models. Confluence, this is going to be really important to refining your edge or your model. So just inputting what was present at the time, you know, what account you were using, what the risk was, what the final result was, what your risk management strategy was. Were you taking partials? Were you doing a full TP? Were you trailing your stops? Were you aggressive when you break even? Did you leave the break even out? You know, these are things that are going to come in handy later, and I'll show you how we can start to look into that kind of thing. So what were we targeting? We targeting external liquidity, New York Midnight. What was the asset? How confident was I? And then what was the rating? So this is where we'll have the models preset. So I'll show you how to create a template. But in here, I've got a 4-hour model template preset. So it'll come up with my checklist, and all I have to do is just tick the elements on my checklist. So for the 4-hour model, I've got this built in here, and you can see these are the ones that were present. So in this example, you can see we had 4-hour internal in the premium, so we were above 50%. Got a really nice inversion there. Opening manipulation followed by intentional candle through the opening price, and a 15-minute version indicates willingness to go lower. It is also pro midnight bias. Okay, so we're shorting toward midnight. That's the little purple line there. And then the logical target is previous 4-hour low, which is that model. Okay, so if I just created, let's say for instance we just had a new trade, so all you do is create a new line, open, and you can see in here I've already pre-created these, so you can click into 4-hour and it'll already have this ready for you. But let's say for instance you wanted to create your own. Let me just get rid of that. You can go over here, press new template, and you can create your own template. And then every time when you go into here and you open up, there'll be a new template in there, so you can just use your template. Okay, there's also an option here just to do a simple trade input, so you can just put today's trade input, and you've got screenshots, you've got lessons, so you can just fill in that information, and all that information will be ready for you to populate. Okay, I know this is a lot more manual labor, and one of the reasons I was drawn towards the psychological side of my journals, and something that I think a lot of people are enjoying is it's like it's less technical, it's less input, and I know all of that stuff. I know it's not really sexy. It's not really stuff you want to be doing, but I've put this background here for that very reason. Like, we just got to work harder. Okay, we've got to do some like deep work, and we just got to do the boring stuff. And building your own models is going to require this level of detail. It's going to require the work. Okay, a really easy way to sort of utilize this approach just by using, like, for instance, Top Step is just to create a Top Step Combine account and just name that account the model you're trading, and then just go and trade that model on that account. But you've got to stick to it. Okay, so you can either use something like this, or you just want to do that approach, you could try that. You know, I'm not trying to sell anybody into one set way, because I'm a real big proponent of journaling, but only journaling your way. Okay, you've got to make journaling work for you, because if you don't make journaling work for you, you're not going to do it. Okay, and this is what this is for. It's to make it a bit more engaging, a bit more fun, and to help you out. So what you're also able to do in this is you're able to use these filters. So for instance, if we were looking at like Confluence, we could say, right, okay, well, when I'm trading from internal liquidity, what kind of trades am I taking? What kind of like performance am I getting? How's my confidence? What was the rating of the setup? You can also look at like specific days of the week. How am I performing on a Thursday? How am I performing on a Tuesday? You know, that kind of thing. You've also got environments. So like in the environment, you can say like, what am I like on a major news day? All right, well, I've taken a loss on 3 out of 4 trades I've taken on a major news day. You know what I mean? This is all valuable information. What am I like on a no news day? You know, there's all that kind of thing. Right, so let me just double check the chat. Doesn't look like there's any questions. Is there any more questions about this? And what I'll do is I'll move on and we'll start talking about the 4-hour strategy and more about backtesting. All happy? Cool. Right. So let's go to this. So in here, I've fleshed this one out quite a bit more. So our written theory, I haven't actually completed, so I'll just do that now. Written explanation of the model. So the way I see this model is if 4-hour open shows willingness to either direction, find and trade with aligned order flow, order aligned PA to align to high or low bias. Okay, so that's may sound a little bit complicated, but we're going to talk about it. Okay, so here's the video and the actual content of where I talk about this strategy and how I talk about like how to use time and how to use these opening prices. The video's there for you as well. So here's some back testing. We've got some price showing willingness to hold opening price. Opening action here was bullish and the trade was short back to the fair value, not a trade from open. So in this example, I've used the 4-hour open to trade back to the open, but you can see here when you hold an opening price, we're showing willingness to hold opening price. That's just a little example there for you. And these are the opening actions from the findings. So in the backtesting process, what kind of things was I seeing with the 4-hour strategy? That's all in the previous educational module. So then moving to forward testing, these are some trades I've taken specifically with these models. This was a trade we talked about the other day. And eventually you've got your final checklist. So we're looking at opening action determined and aligned price action. We're looking for inversions and CISD. Naked gap draw on liquidity. I don't think that's overly necessary. I do need to update this. Apologies, I will update it. I've just been mega busy. But the reason I need to update that is because what I've been able to find in the back testing. Okay, so here I'll go on to FX Replay. So what I've got over here is backtesting software. So I've been encouraging people to check this out. And essentially what this is it's just like TradingView. It uses all the same kind of charts. It's really, really easy. But what you're able to do is actually take trades and it will give you some really, really good analysis, some really good views. Okay, so I've been backtesting a few things. The 5-minute New York bias, I've tried that out for a little bit. I also have a 10 a.m. strategy I'm looking at the minute. And then what I've been doing mainly is this 6 a.m. 4-hour open. So review that session. You can see the equity curve there. It looks really, really good. And the November performance was pretty awesome. You can see there as well, Monday was the best day. And what you're able to do is go into session analytics. So what we're able to do is we're able to see the win rate at the minute is around 62% with only 26 trades taken. So typically I want to up that. I want to get that right up. I want to at least 50 to 100 trades, to be honest. But what this has also given us is ideal R and like the R values that we can potentially expect from these. Now, this is so important because there may actually be a strategy that you find in your model where you can just go and target 2R, or you can target 1R or 3R, and you don't necessarily have to worry too much about targets. You just look for your entry model, and then all you have to do is set a TP. Okay, set and forget kind of thing. So another cool thing about this is we can look at the performance of time. Not overly helpful for this strategy because it is so time based. And then you've got the performance by day, which is super helpful. You can see like my worst day is Thursday, Friday is not that great either, but Monday is far superior, it seems. And that's all broken down into these months as well, so you can see it all across how you performed. All right, so one of the best features about this as well is if you go over to your journal, you can see all the trades you've taken. So we just clear the filter so you can see all the trades you've taken and journaled. So what you're able to do here is you're able to associate tags to it. So you can choose these tags and then you can see how you performed. Okay, so let's just have a quick example. So we go to session and we go to the 6 a.m. 4-hour open, apply, and we go to tags. Can you not hear me, Pato? Oh God, please don't tell me nobody can hear me. Yeah. Yeah, it's your fault, guys. Check your settings. Right, I'll carry on. So in the tags, you can add these tags as you go. So these are just some I've been adding. So for instance, if we have willingness, so you can see that when I see willingness, that is by very definition, as per the previous educational, I'm seeing willingness to either hold or reject opening price. So I'm seeing how we react to 4-hour open. Okay, like cool example today, literally, like here, it's on a 15-minute chart. You can see that price wasn't showing any willingness. So there's 3 a.m. Okay, so just pull that back a little bit. So this was a little paper scalp I took this morning. So you can see how price had opened up at 3 a.m. and then wick like that, created this SMT, wasn't able to really reclaim opening price. That was showing me a lack of willingness to go higher. Okay, so this is a tag that I've associated to price action like that. So what you're able to do is you're able to look in this one here and you can see the screenshots. You can see other tags in here. So this was an internal to external. It was pro midnight, so I was trading toward midnight, and I was seeing willingness in the price action. So in here you can see what I'm doing is I'm marking out the various time frames and I'm looking at taking a position. In this instance, I did actually use quite a wide stop at the previous low, and I set my target at the top of the high there. You can see we're trading from internal liquidity there. So you're able to see exactly what is going on. You're also able to give it a confidence meter, and you're able to give it a rating. Okay. Now, I haven't been using a checklist on this specific one because I'm still fleshing this one out. But let's say, for instance, you wanted to start testing your own models. Here's a really cool one. So what you can do is just go over to the checklist section and you can create your own checklist. So in here, for instance, the New York 5-minute bias, have we got a 5-minute candle formed? Yes. Entry model? Yes. Inversion, CASD, OB/BB, or SMT. So once you get into your trading, so we'll just go into this session now. In fact, what we'll do is we'll quickly just create one for this 4-hour. So in the 4-hour open, 6 a.m. 4-hour open, we're going to have willingness. We're going to have sorry guys if you're having trouble with the sound, but I'm definitely recording sound in my OBS, so you might have to watch it back. So we have an inversion / CISD entry. We're going to have, and that's going to be required. And then what we're going to have is we're going to have what else have we got? We could potentially use a naked gap drawing liquidity. I think that's a really nice one. You can see that in the back testing as well. Could have SMT, don't know, really necessary. Yeah, we'll just keep them for now. Okay, so let's go to sessions. So once you've got your session, this is what it's going to look like. So we expand that out. I've got this on like this multi-chart view at the minute. So what I've got here is I've got like a 4 hour. So this is obviously handy for our, I'll just go to, can I maximize this? Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this thing. Right. So what I've got here is I've got a 4 hour chart, I've got a 1 hour chart, and I've got a 1 day chart. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just looking at the context of the market from these 4 different vantage points. And in here, I'm going to be, this is like my main chart that I'm utilizing. So you can utilize pretty much, you've got a lot of indicators. You haven't got as many as TradingView, but you've still got a lot of indicators. So what I'm doing is I'm just using these indicators to help me find midnight and to help me find 6 a.m. Okay. Now we'll just get rid of all this. I remember I already backtested this session and it didn't really offer a good trade, so I'm just going to go to the next day. So this is just your normal trading view. So you already know how to use all of that stuff. And what we're going to do is we're just going to line things up, get it ready. So in this go-to section, you're able to put in your custom settings over here, and you can set like your next session. So you can just go session to session, go next day. What I've done is I've put my 6 a.m. time window as just a silver bullet. So I just did that. It's not a silver bullet, but it's just an option in here. So now we're at 6 a.m. I'll just show you what I do for my process now, and I'll show you how we go through the journal. Right. So let's move this along 5 minutes. Right. Okay. So now just add our 6 a.m. open. So the first thing I'll do is I'll mark out the 4 hour low, and I'll mark out the 4 hour high. Okay. So there's our 4 hour high, and there is our 4 hour low. Okay. So what I'm looking for is my checklist. Okay. So if we go to our journal, this is where all of our trades are going to be stored. All right. So what we need to do is we just need to monitor PA, right? So let's have a look. We've got this 5-minute gap here. On here, we've got this naked 1 hour. On here, we've already taken the internal liquidity. Okay. How are we on this? We're very, very high up. I think we're all-time highs at this point. Yeah, so we're very, very high up in all-time highs. Very, very pumpy. Okay, so let's just look at what happened on the open reaction. So we've got 6 a.m. there with a nice open reaction. Good push on the open. So we're obviously below midnight. So let's just give this another candle, see what happens. Okay, we're bouncing. Okay, now there's a 5-minute inversion. So that technically is a long, okay, but I can utilize the discretion. So pretty much in the beginning of this session, I mentioned how yes, we can have mechanical models and we can have all these different rules, but sometimes you need to exercise some intuition. Okay, so does anybody think it's particularly a great idea for me to be longing at these highs, even though it's a long setup? I mean, it could work out, but what is your risk to reward in this instance? You've got a long here. Really, your stop's going to be here, there if you're being super, super aggressive. But that's your risk to reward. It's less than 0.5. So is that really worth us playing around with? Or would it be better to potentially see us reject off of here, lose a 5-minute gap and look for shorts where the higher risk to reward play is, or even just come lower and into the 0.5? Okay, so we could potentially come a bit lower and then we could look for a long out of the 0.5. Because if you've watched last week, the other week's video on time, we also know that opening price acts like a fair value as well. So if we're below opening price, we can look for longs, and if we're above, we can look for shorts. Okay, so we're just looking at the reaction from opening price, and we're looking to either trade towards it, away from it, and we have to use factors like the price action at hand. So in this instance, we're holding a bullish gap. We've just inverted a bearish gap. I would expect this to go and take the high. Okay, so we're also below midnight, but am I going to do that? I don't think I am. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we got to take the high. Okay, so a way to look at this is like, right, okay, well, I could have long there, and I could have potentially caught a runner, for sure. But is that your model? No, the model right now is we're looking for intention, we're looking for willingness, and we're looking to trade from the open and the aligning price action to either the high or the low of the previous 4-hour candle. Okay, so there was no trade. Next day. Okay, so we're just moving on. SB London, so we're just moving into 6 a.m. the next day. This is how you do it. Just a little knock forward. Right, there's our 6 a.m. open. Right, where is our previous 4-hour high? There. Where is our previous 4-hour low? There. Okay, we're above midnight. We've got this 5-minute gap here. Holding that for now. If we get nice bearish intention from this opening price, we're delivering out of this local bearish gap. Then we start to see bearish price action. We're above midnight, so we start to see that bearish price action. We could look to short it, and we could look to target those lows. Okay, so we're just going to play it forward bit by bit and just see how it goes. Okay, we're back at opening price. Looks like we want to go higher, and then we've taken the high. Okay, these are not great examples. Let's see if we get a better look next time. Discord voice stream is now a paid feature. What? I thought it was my Alexa, my laptop connected to it. Alright, who can hear me and who can't hear me? Alright, let me just put a message in for people who can't hear me. Yeah, Frank, I think you might be talking for your ass a bit there, mate, about the Discord voice stream being a paid feature. Right. Next day. Come on. Why is it taking the piss? Yeah, being buggy, sorry. I would do this literally while I'm trying to do one of these streams. No, go away. Okay, this is the 19th. Right. Whoa. Okay. Okay, right. There is our 6 a.m. open. There is our previous 4-hour high. There is our previous 4-hour low. Okay, where are we? We are above midnight, so we're counter midnight. We have a really, really aggressive drop. We have some naked gap above, but it's a premium naked gap. We do have this here. This bullish naked gap right there. Okay, there it is. On the daily, we are obviously quite bearish indeed. Do we have any SMTs down here? No, we don't. What about the 15-minute? Or any... this is annoying. No SMTs from there. Any SMT there? Yes. So there's SMT there. Right. Okay. So there's our SMT. Do we have any projections? So I'm literally just treating this chart as if I would. And it was live PA. Okay. So we haven't hit a 2.5 on that leg. Okay. $15-minute gap there. Let's see if this loses. So obviously we're opening up pretty close to this. We have a 1 hour gap there that's naked. We do have obviously this SMT at the lows. In terms of where we are, we're still pretty low down in the discount. Okay. Yeah, okay. So let's see if the opening action is bullish or bearish. So immediately on the push, we've broken this structure here. Nice opening push. Any SMT there? Yeah, so you got SMT here. And an immediate push up. Okay. So let's see if we can hop a ride on the up, or if we're going to lose opening price. Okay, there's an OB there on the SMT. So with that 5-minute bubbles. Right there. Okay. So I'm just going to move that forward a little bit at a time. Okay. There's the tap into the gap. Okay, now you just lost that 3-minute gap there, but you're on this breaker block. You got this SMT. This isn't something I would want to short just yet. But if we start to lose opening price, so we show intention through opening price, we show willingness to go down, then I will consider it. You've got this naked gap below. Okay. Where are we in this terms of this range? We are there to there. Okay, so we're in the top half of the 4-hour candle. So it's not the best place to long, but we'll see what happens. Okay, now we're starting to move a little bit higher. Okay, now, how did we react to opening price? We've bounced from it. Okay, let's see if we continue to hold. We show willingness. Okay, starting to move back up. There's a 1-minute gap right there. Let me throw a little 2 on if I can. There it is. 2. Yeah, nice 2-minute gap right there. Okay. Alright, so the way I could look at this right now is we've got SMT at these lows. Alright, we're super low within this swing range. The only thing I don't like is that we've got this naked 1 hour below us. And here we've just had a 2-minute version, but you can see that we've held opening price quite well. So what I'm going to do is I'm also holding this bullish gap right here. Okay, so this is, I'm going to do this for the benefit of you guys because I'm conscious that I haven't actually taken a trade yet. So what you do is you put in your risk to reward thing, right? You pull your stop to where you want it. So we'll pop it there on the SMT down there, for instance, and then we'll set it for our target, right? So once you've set your trade, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to click it and then press place order, right? So once you've got your order panel up, you're going to select your risk metric, whether it wants to be on your initial balance, which was 100k in this case, or do you want to use it on your current balance, okay? then it's going to set your stop loss and your take profit based upon this drawing. So that's why it's important to do this drawing first, okay? And if you press save and journal, that'll then come up here and you'll see that you've now got your trade input. So take a screenshot. And then what we'll do is we'll hit our checklist. So we've got willingness so far, we've held opening price, we've got inversion CISD, other tags. So we've got SMT here. Are we pro midnight? Where's midnight? Yeah, no, we're counter midnight. Okay, so we're counter midnight. If this was a loss, would it be a good loss? I'm not sure it would. I'm not the biggest fan of this trade, to be honest. I personally want to rate it like a 2-star. Primarily because of where we are. We're above the 50%. Okay. And it's counter midnight, of course. Is it a PD array? Looking at this local swing, it's kind of a PD array. We are showing willingness, I would agree. And we've got SMT, we've got an aggressive entry, intention, open push, and yeah, that all looks all right. Yeah, I'm gonna give it. I'm not that confident on it either, so I'm gonna give it like a 20-ish. And yeah, we'll see how that plays out. So here we go. Nope, terrible reaction. Still holding opening price though. Here we go. Is it one a bit higher? Whoa, just missed, but still holding opening price. Still holding opening price. And is it going to take us out? Yeah. So there's now taking us out. So what we'll do is we'll go back to our journal. Cake must have bought his mic from B&M. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's from Amazon. Is it not any good? No. Same, I tried 2 different laptops, phones, and never won. Right, so this was a loss. I didn't really like it. It was low confidence, but it's valuable information because we're still testing, okay? Don't worry about your backtesting results. Like, you don't have to get a amazing 80% win rate in your backtesting. Like, who are you trying to show off to? You know what I mean? Like, you also, it's not like a real P&L. This is all about learning, okay? So in this instance, what were the mistakes that were made here? Well, like I said, I wasn't that confident in it. I didn't really like it that much. We were in the premium of that local area. We were showing some willingness to hold opening price, but now we've just lost it, okay? So now I can start to consider potentially shorts. So let's have a little look around. What can we find? Yeah, you've had this inversion here as well. That's quite nice. Okay, let's see if we move a bit lower. Okay, got that 1 hour below. Another reason I didn't particularly love that trade, but took it anyway. Okay. Now, see that? Can we get back above opening price? Yes, we are. Are we going to hold it? Yes. No? Let's see. Okay. So, do we have an SMT here? No, we don't. Yeah, I'm not prepared to long this again so high, but it can easily go to the target. There you go, that looks a bit stronger. Yeah. So now you've had that 5-minute inversion there. Could have gone for it again. But there was a reaction out of there. That would have been a much better trade. So what we can do is we can just go back and have a little look. Like, right, okay, well, once we came back below opening price, we'd had a nice inversion right here. Okay, so this is a learning process. There on the 2-minute. So we could have taken this trade. And that would have presented a huge risk to reward, which is really nice. So now what we can do is we can journal that as well. Later, a setup below opening price appeared once premium. discount was. So 2-minute inversion with willingness to hold price. There you go. So every loss is a lesson. Super cliche, but that's the way it is. Okay, right, we'll see if we can get some more, and then we'll take some questions. So what we do, I normally just delete the TA, and then I just go to the next day. Come on, you piece of shit. Okay, so expand the chart. There we go. There we go. Right, what have we got here? So that looks like a naked daily. Naked daily opening right there. Okay. We've just missed this gap here on a 1 hour. So I'm immediately drawn to higher. Okay. Just missed that. Oh no, we got it, we got it. Okay, on here, what have we got? Got a 4 hour above as well. Already tapped into that. Okay, so we're looking at this potentially being internal to external, but we're super, super shallow. Okay. S&T wise, nothing really here I'm not bothered about. Look at the 15-minute. Not really anything I like there either. Okay, so we're above midnight for now. This order block here that's holding price up. Let's see what the open brings. Okay, so there's our 6 a.m. open, no? Oh no, it's fucking not gone to it. There we are. Okay. Right, 6 a.m. open, immediately takes the low. Nothing we can do. Move on. Right, 5-minute. This is a Monday. 6 a.m. immediately takes the 4 hour open, for fuck's sake. Move on. Right, now this one has left a little bit of room. There's the previous 4 hour open. Sorry, previous 4 hour high. There's the previous 4 hour low. Okay, so risk to reward wise, we would want shorts, or we would want discount for longs below opening price. Okay, we've got this 5-minute gap here. Okay, any SMTs up here? Not at the minute. Okay, 30 seconds. Is it going to take it immediately? Probably, but if it doesn't, that's good for us. Okay, and we got this 3-minute gap right here. Okay, where are we coming from? We're above midnight. We already swept this 1 hour high. We've already swept previous day high. We've got this internal liquidity here. We haven't swept that high. We're above previous day high. Okay, let's give it a little bit more juice. Okay. We're going to lose that 3-minute, not quite yet. We've got a 5-minute there as well. Move over to that. See if that 5-minute gets taken. So we've opened up here. We haven't taken any highs and we've shown willingness to go lower. there is not really an SMT here. Although locally there is. Really, really locally. Okay. So here to here, SMT. Right, so let's see if this 5 minute will run for it. Oh, this is Christmas Eve. Bloody hell. Ugh. Okay, so you've taken that now, there. So we've had the SMT at the highs, we've had the 5 minute inversion, we've still got this gap here. So we could look for a short here, and we could look to trade it down. We're above midnight, but really we want to be super aggressive. We're going to run these lows. We want to be super aggressive on that break even. I've just noticed it's December 24th as well, so it's not a good time of the year. But we are above previous day high. Okay. I'm just going to see how that plays out. I'm not going to trade it, but I will mark it out here. I'm not going to trade that, but there. Let's see how that would have played out. Okay. We run them lows, then I would have been break even. If it was my personal account, I would have definitely been break even when we run them. But we're just going to see how that plays out. Okay, so you get back below. So now another thing to consider is your discount. Yep, so nice bounce off the 50%, bounce out of this gap here. Is there any local SMT? Nope. Okay, so 2-3 minute, you got that little inversion there. Below opening price. There's your inversion. Nice inversion there, nice momentum. Okay. So see how that one plays out. Yeah, I like that. Nice bounce back out. Perfect. Let's see how the reaction to will. There we go. So we're not showing willingness to get back above opening price. We're struggling. Let's see. Where are we? 1 hour. What time is it? It's 8 AM. So you're right before the New York Open, but it is obviously Christmas Eve. This isn't really PA I want to be playing around with. And there it is. So you could have taken the long. So this is actually a really good example of I didn't like the short necessarily because of what we had below us. So you can see here there was this low resistance liquidity. So that would have been my break-even target when I was trading. So I would have been taking out a break-even there. That wouldn't have been a loss. And you've got a good option there for a long because you're still holding bullish gaps, okay? And you've come below the 50%, okay? I really didn't like the time of year, to be honest. Let's go to the next session. How long have we been going? An hour? Okay. The next open is going to be Christmas Day. We're not going to play that. This is Boxing Day. We're not going to do that. Come on. Really wants to find an example where we've got like a naked gap withdrawal on liquidity, but none have presented themselves right now. It's really annoying. I'm sorry this fucking site is so clunky. Right, expand the chart. Let's have a look. Right, 26th. Get us out of fucking Christmas. Okay, so this is the 26th still. Don't want to trade fucking Christmas. Oh, sorry guys, this is pissing me off. I'm just gonna go and get a new bloody session. Somebody who's in the chat now, just give me a random date. "15th of Jan." Okay. We'll do till today. Cool. Right. So what have we got? Go to SB London. Right. So 1 forward to 5 minutes. There we go. Back. Right. So there's our 6 a.m. open. Here's our previous high. So really, I don't like that we've opened so close to this high, but that's still our high. And then we've got this as our low. And then here is going to be 6 a.m. We're above midnight. We've already bounced out of midnight. We've got a nice inversion off of that. And we've got this wickless right here. Okay. So we've got that wickless 4 hour right above us. Okay. Did we form a gap? No, not yet. Okay. Daily coming out of this internal, coming out here. We've already rotated into this here. Okay. Haven't taken any hourly highs yet. We had a previous candle was all internal. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's move it forward nice and slow. Immediate push on the open. Let's see if we can lose it. Yeah, so next day. Oh my god, this is pissing me off. It's honestly a really, really good platform, but I don't know why it's just being so buggy with me. Okay. So we're now on the 16th, which is the next day, because we opened too close to the 4 hour high and we immediately just pumped through it. That is obviously a common theme that you're going to open. Pretty much bang on where you're going to be targeting, but here we should have a decent chance to get a trade. So there's our 6 a.m. there. Okay, so where's our high? There. Where's our low? There. Okie dokie. Right, so what do we have below? We're above midnight. There's a 4 hour low. We've got this big naked gap here. but we don't necessarily need to go to that gap. It's a fair way down. Daily looks super strong. We've just got an inversion on the daily, really strong candle. Okay, the 1 hour, we've got a naked 1 hour below this previous 4 hour right there, so we could look for that. Right, do we have any S&T up here? No. Okay, let's just check the 15-minute. Okay, so 15-minute, we've also had these little inversions here. We've got this 15-minute gap right there, so really that's the gap to lose if we're going to look for shorts. See if we get some nice opening intention. Okay. Chop, 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 chop. Okay, so this is the first real bit of sign of intention out of there with this gap inversion here. Look at the 5-minute. We've got a gap above us. I would prefer shorts, personally, because of the naked 1 hour below us. So I'm just going to let this play out a little bit more. Okay, so you can start to see now these candles are starting to form. This breaker block here, sorry, order block. See if we lose it. Yeah, it looks like we're going to lose it. Okay, so now you've got a breaker block here on top of this 15-minute. So I'm curious to see if we lose this 15-minute. If we lose this 15-minute, I'm going to look to short it. And I'm going to look to short it down to this 1 hour gap. Okay, so that 15 minutes been lost. So I'm going to go for this inversion here. Could hold out for the breaker, but I'm going to just target this because this should be a simple enough 1 hour right there. We've shown nice willingness through opening price. So we've got this 5-minute breaker block. So we've got down close candles. Then we form an order block and then we lose it with some intention. We lose opening price with willingness. We then go and invert that 15-minute gap. So really, I just want to see this bearish gap hold here around opening price. Could look to scale in inside this bearish gap, but I'm happy to just get in the trade at this point because this fucking FX replay is doing my head in. So once you've put your position in there, click it, press place order, choose your risk percentage. So we're going to risk 1% of our current balance, which is a 10k account, so it's going to be $100 risk. Stop losses presets, take profits preset, save and journal, and we let it play out. So now you're back testing that gap. Is it going to hold? Looks to be holding. If we're truly bearish, bearish gap should hold. That one looks to be holding. Looks to be holding. Expecting lower, expecting lower. Naked 1 hour gap below us. Let's go. And boom, finally. So in this instance, the learning points here are we had some signs that price may have wanted to go up, but we were patient and we waited for a really, really good sign. Because when this started to look like it wanted to go higher, I had in my mind, well, you've got this naked 1 hour down here, so this is a really attractive liquidity. So going up high here now doesn't really seem all that logical. Okay, then what you've got is you've got the interaction around opening price, and it wasn't until we had this really large candle and it was showing willingness to go lower. Okay, it's really pierced opening price. So that to me was a really good sign. And then it was just a case of just waiting for this 15-minute candle to go, and you can see we got a perfect back test to that 5-minute breaker block right there. So I know I haven't covered a lot of OBs and breaker blocks, but a breaker block is just an order block that fails. So here you've got, oh, I got a brush. So you've got down close candle, series of down close candles, close above it. This now creates an order block. Once we come back through it and close below, that now creates a breaker block, broken OB, perfect backtest into this 5-minute internal. Lose that 15-minute gap, so the order flow is beginning to show us, or the price actions begin to show us that we're bearish right now. And you can see that's where price led to. So we had a draw on liquidity, we had a line in price action, we had willingness through price. Okay, it was a great trade. So we go to our journal, you can see that's in there now. Well, it should be. If I go to close trades, journal trade, there we go. So in our checklist, we got willingness and we had an inversion. We had tension. We had internal liquidity to external. We had a PD array because we were above 50%. And we were pro midnight, right? Were we pro midnight? Yeah, we were pro midnight. Okay, where's midnight? We had a breaker block as well. Yeah, we did. And yeah, time validation, willingness, naked, gap draw on liquidity. So these tags are super helpful because they're going to help you find out what's working and what's not working, like pro midnight. Okay, I really like that, to be fair. So I was fairly comfortable and really confident with that. The rating was fairly high. The only thing that wasn't really present was an S&T. Price initially viewed as wanting higher, then factored in naked 1 hour gap below as bias. Bias once patient to show obvious willingness. Cool. So how long have we been going? Right, an hour. I know a bunch of people dropped off because of the sound. I hope everyone else can hear me okay. Has anybody got any questions about FX Replay? Think about people who aren't here. They may have similar questions. So even if you think you've got it, is there anything you want me to go and look at and explore just for the benefit of other people? Nobody? All right, fair enough. So I know that's quite a long process. You can speed it up. Obviously, I'm taking my time looking at all the different variables. There is quite a lot of work to this process, but what you're looking to do here is you're looking to essentially gain your data. So once you've got your data, so the session that we just did before, so what we've got here is we've got our data. Once we're able to view this data, we're able to put it in here into our models. 4 hour, you can see here some backtesting stats. price showing was still over price. Opening action here was bullish, and trade was short back to fair value. Not trade from open to previous. Okay, so here willingness is really important. So something we learned from that process was patiently waiting for the obvious willingness to present itself. There we go. Let's go to the PA here. What's going on? So what happened at 6 a.m. today? So at 6 a.m. today you had... Wow, have you not taken? Okay, you're... Oh yeah, you're up, yeah. Okay. There you go. So in today's PA, what did we have? We had an immediate push for those highs. Immediate, okay? So you're going to see this quite often. So you just need to be really aware of this kind of fact and just see if you can hop on, but also don't be too aggressive. Okay, so what we've just learned in that process is sometimes you've just got to be a little bit more patient. So you can see here this was a fairly easy one, to be fair, because you've got this nice strong manipulation down and you form SMT off them lows. There you go, SMT there. Okay, and you get that immediate move on the open, but you also push above London Open there, so you get a really strong move and price immediately gravitates to that target. Okay, so the beautiful thing about this strategy is when you wait for the open, you know that price is almost certainly headed for a high or a low. Obviously it isn't a guarantee, but it's pretty fucking close. So what your job is just to find the price action. Okay, try and align yourself to the price action. This is a super obvious one. Some of the examples we went through absolutely sucked, but that's when you're going to go through your journal and you're going to go through your back test and you're going to figure out what is going on in each of these sessions. And once you find the common denominators, you can start building the factors around it in your model. And then it's just a case of just going into the live market and trading it. So in this instance, we've got willingness here. We've got all these different tags. Utilize these tags, utilize your checklists. Okay, and you can see some of the trades that we took over here. Like there's a loss there. There's a 3, you can see there. That was the second trade, that was the first trade. You can see that you've got price rotating into highs here. So this was the more aggressive entry off the open. Okay, I thought that was a fair loss on that attempt, but the second one, you can see how you come up and you've got that really obvious gap, and then you get that really obvious move that comes through it. So did I follow that up with the other short? Yeah. So in this trade, you know, you didn't really get it in that trade. Fair enough. But look how different the PA is in the second trade. So sometimes you've just got to be able to put aside what you've just done and, you know, make sure you still go for the obvious trades when they arrive. That one was a super good trade. So let's have a look at this one. Was huge. Why was that so big? So in this instance, it was a short from there. Oh, this was one I executed manually, wasn't it? Yeah. So it was on this inversion here, SMT here, inversion there, straight down. This was the 6 a.m. open. Real intention. You can see the lack of it here, and then the intention here, the difference. And yeah, I don't want to go on for too long because I know backtesting can be a little bit boring. It's the last thing I want to do, and I want to make sure that these sessions aren't too long so people are able to watch them numerous times if they need to. I'll make sure this is fully fleshed out before I start sharing it with you. But key points today, just to summarize to finish up. Get yourself into the model builder. Figure out a theory based upon your experiences so far. Figure out something that you want to do in terms of trading. A great tip I gave out today in the chat was naked gaps. Just build a model around naked gaps. It's just a really, really good piece of advice I could give you. Build a model around naked gaps and look to trade toward them. And then go and backtest it. Figure out your findings, figure out your significant notes, what adjustments you may need to make, and then start forward testing it. Figure out your final checklist, and then once you can do that, then it all becomes a case of inputting and tracking it. Okay, again, if you don't really want to do this, just get yourself a TopStep account and just use a single account for a single model. Okay, and that will give you all the pretty much all the data you need, but it's not going to give you this kind of detail where you're looking at how you target, what was the environment, you know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of missing pieces. So if you want to do this the best possible way, utilize this. Okay. FX Replay was a bit of a cunt today, excuse my language. It was just playing up and doing my head in, but it's still a very, very valuable piece of software. And if you create yourself a checklist, you create yourself a session and just meticulously go through it, you can get 5 days of free trial. So definitely give it a try. And yeah, that's about it from me. Has anybody got any questions? Can we download the template? This template. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing it, so I'll publish it, and then you guys will be able to just duplicate it. So this is the trading journal I already created. So this is something you're able to copy and use yourself. But what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to copy all of this. So this is all yours. And these are just examples of trades. A dozen. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll catch you all in the Discord.